Hey guys, Alan Sars. Another cigar and a good cup of coffee. Look, when a police officer gets killed, I'll have to admit I'm a little biased. I am. See, I'm a retired police officer. My son is currently a police officer. And we both understand. I understood, and he understands now, the hazards of the profession. I knew every time I left the house, something could happen to me, or I may have to do something to someone else. Luckily, over my career, neither happened. Neither happened because I wouldn't let it happen. I can talk to people. My son's been a police officer now for about 4 years. And praise God, nothing's happened to him, nor has he had to do anything to anyone else as far as shootings and things like that. But we understand the hazards of the profession. But when a police officer's ambushed, shot down for just being a police officer, just for being there, it pisses me off. I'm not going to lie. But something that I was thinking about that a lot of people it doesn't register with them, is you have places like New York, who sadly had police officers killed here lately. New York, Texas, Chicago, California. But all of a sudden, gun violence is on the front burner. It's as if they're trying to garner support from police officers for gun control due to a fellow officer being killed. It's like they're exploiting the police officers, trying to use here's what I equate it to. I equate it to a pastor doing an altar call at a funeral. Personally, I think that's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I think it's ornery to do an altar call at a funeral. Just like it's ornery to start preaching gun control after a police officer's killed. You're never going to get police officers, street cops, to talk about taking good, honest Americans' weapons away from them. It's not going to happen. But something I've noticed is, like I said, when a police officer gets killed, they want to start talking about gun control. What about the 13-year-olds in New York and Chicago who were killed in the inner cities every day, chased down the street and gunned down in gang violence? It's like the Democratic leaders of those communities and in Washington look at it as a form of urban renewal. It's business as usual. It makes the newspaper right down there next to lawnmower for sale. It's on the back pages. That's what's maddening. As a retired police officer, that's what's maddening, is the people that we're out here trying to protect are being murdered every day, and the local politicians act like it's business as usual. But you let something happen that makes national news, and all of a sudden they want to exploit it. Like I said, as a police officer, I knew what I was getting into. I knew what may or may not happen every night I walked out of my house. I knew that. But believe it or not, old Alan Sarge was a 13-year-old kid too at one time, walking down the streets of his community. I grew up in projects. I grew up in government housing. In Kentucky, you don't get any poorer than that. But I can't imagine as a 13-year-old kid being chased down the street simply because I lived in this project and someone else lived in that project. Or I was wearing my red tennis shoes today and I walked into the blue tennis shoes territory. They want to downplay that. And that's maddening. That's ridiculous. Police officers are out there every day seeing this, dealing with this. And the politicians don't want to talk about any kind of violence until it's something that's politically useful to them. They want to overlook those children being killed every day. Innocent people caught up in drive-bys every day. But they want to take one of us being killed and try to exploit it. Try to garner support for Second Amendment attacks. And still, even at that point, they're avoiding the real root cause of the violence. It's ridiculous. It's insulting to police officers is what it is. To stand up there and give lip service like they're doing. I never one time thought my life was more valuable than the black communities I patrolled. Never. I had a black lady in one of the black communities. I would pull up every summer day and I'd park under a tree there in my cruiser. She came up to me one day and she said, "Hey Rob, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah, Miss Jackie, what can I help you with?" She said, "Why are you always sitting here? How long are you going to sit here?" I said, "Miss Jackie, I'll sit here until your grandchildren can safely play in your front yard." I went by the other day and her grandchildren were playing in her front yard. That's what police officers do. All this other negative bullshit. Come on. Seriously? Seriously. If a man points a gun at me, even now, as a private citizen, you point a gun at me, I will kill you. I will protect myself and those around me, police officer or not. I don't care that you didn't pull the trigger. I'm not going to give you a first shot option. What kind of bullshit is that? You pull a gun, you're done. It doesn't matter who you are. But I just want to get on here and just voice my opinion on that. It's like they don't care that the inner cities, the projects, the low-income housing are terrorized every day. It doesn't seem to affect them because it's not something they can use politically. They'll talk about it every 4 years at election time about I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and they don't do shit once the votes are tallied. It's right back to business as usual. It's right back to the Democrats' plan for urban renewal. Keep them on the plantation. Keep them in their slave housing. And if they kill each other, oh well. Just don't let it come to the rich neighborhoods. You know, you got black kids being killed every day in the inner cities, and they don't do shit about it. But just here a while back, there were some high-end houses being broken into. And I'll be damned if they didn't have the FBI investigating burglaries. Don't worry about the murders in the inner city with illegal guns, FBI. Worry about the rich people's houses being burglarized. And then the police officers are stuck in the middle. The rich communities don't really want police officers coming through their communities that much because it makes their communities look bad. The politicians don't want the police officers going through the inner cities because they are afraid that there will be incidents, that things will happen. And then they'll be in front of BLM and all these other groups, Al Sharpton, his fake ass. They'll be in front of them trying to explain it away, making apologies for someone saving their own life. Cops should get mad. Cops should start asking questions. Someone who truly cares about their community should think to themselves, why am I more important than the people I serve? Why do you want to make a big deal out of me when there's been 20 others lose their lives to senseless violence, and you don't even want to address it. You can't even say the word gangs. You can't even say the word gang bangers. But you want to exploit a tragedy of a police officer's death. Exploit it. Listen to what I'm saying. Exploit it. You really don't care. But you want to exploit it for your political agenda. Your Build Back Better plan. Your let's raise taxes so we can throw more money into bullshit social programs so the money can be misallocated. Let's take more money and create more bullshit, fake, made-up jobs for my buddies and my political supporters. One death is no more important than another. Don't mourn me. Don't mourn me when there are 20 others put in the ground over here who you act like don't even exist. It's insulting to everyone. Police officers, do what you have to do. Protect yourself, protect others. People in the communities, you need to step up. You really need to step up. The politicians don't give a shit about you. They really don't. Every 4 years, you matter. Every 4 years, you matter. For about, a year for the campaigns? And then it's back to their population control. I don't know, guys. That's just my rant for today. As always, that's just my opinion. You can take it with a grain of salt. This is Hound Sarge. I'm out.